Hi, thanks so much for watching. I'm here today creating a card for the Technique Junkies design team. I'm using the father and daughter stamp as well as Because I'm Your Dad, which is a background stamp. Don't forget to use my coupon code TJ10Tracy to save 10% off your order at techniquejunkies.com. I'll have that code and all the supplies that I use listed in the description box below. I'm starting off with a piece of cream colored paper. If you don't have cream colored, you can use white. I like this paper because it gives it a little bit of a less stark look to it, and it reminds me of a linen look. All right, so I'm going to be using VersaFine Clair Acorn ink. So I've already stamped my first layer. Acorn is a reddish brown ink, and I do stamp it a few times. Sometimes you have to do that with the large background stamps, and plus there's a lot of text on this stamp. This stamp has some really funny sayings that Dad would say, and let me read those to you. You're grounded. Don't talk back. Go ask your mother. Were you raised in a barn? Don't make me stop this car. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not sleeping, just resting my eyes. I'm not going to tell you again. Don't talk back to your mother. You don't know what hard work is. Here's some money. Don't tell Mom. Because I'm your dad, that's why. I'm not made of money. What did I tell you? Turn off the lights when you leave a room. Do as I say, not as I do. Make me proud. Don't tell your mother. Where's my duct tape? Never say never. You'll understand when you're older. They don't make things like they used to. I'm proud of you. When you pay the bills, you can make the rules. You make a better door than a window. Who left all those lights on? Keep your eyes on the ball. Look at me when I'm talking to you. What part of no don't you understand? Get a haircut. You are not going out in that. Hard work builds character. I can fix it. Where's my duct tape? I love you. Okay, and what I decided to do was to use my stitched rectangle die from Paper Rose Studio, and it perfectly trimmed this panel, giving it a nice finishing touch. This is a full-size background stamp, so it will cover completely an A2 card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you won't have to do any kind of matting unless you make a larger card than an A2 card. You'll see I'm using my largest stitched rectangle die that I have that is the A2 size. Let's run this through our die cutting machine. There are a lot of great new Father's Day stamps in this release over at Technique Junkies. The next stamp that we're going to use is called Father and Daughter. I'm going to color this with my alcohol markers. This one reminds me of a sketch, and there's plenty of different coloring mediums that you could use. You could use your watercolor pencils or your regular colored pencils. Any dye-based ink marker would work. You could even use your ink and a blender pen and just color it that way. So I'm using Memento ink, Tuxedo Black, and this ink is friendly with my alcohol markers. Stamping that out makes a nice crisp image on the very first inking. I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp, and now we're ready to color. So of course I will make the dad have black hair. My dad always had jet black hair naturally. He didn't really start to gray until he probably reached his late 60s, and he's in his early 70s now, but still has some black in his hair. And people would think that he dyed his hair, but it's just a common trait in his side of the family, the jet black hair. His brother also had that as well. So of course I have to make the dad in this stamp with that color hair. And this is the card that I'm going to give my dad for Father's Day. I just have a little piece of scrap paper and I'm just swatching my alcohol markers. These are my Copic markers, just to make sure I'm getting the right shade that I'm looking for. I guess I could pull out my swatch book, but this is just as easy, folks. And I'm going to make her shirt a light purple, of course. You know I love purple. And actually she's wearing a dress, so I take a, I guess, cream colored marker. It's almost like a peachy cream colored marker, and I just color her legs so that she's wearing a dress. I also go ahead and color in his face, hands, her face, and I made her hair a light yellow. I was born with blonde hair and had very light blonde hair growing up. We were outside a lot in the sun. We always had a pool. So in the summertime, my hair would be almost white when I was younger. And then it turned into a dark, like a light brown, dark blonde color. That's my natural color now. All right. I will go ahead and color his slacks. So I'm doing gray. My dad worked in an industry where he did have to wear a uniform to work. And I remember his, work uniform being either like dark pants or like dark gray pants. So I thought that would be a nice color for that. And then I have a light blue color for his shirt. I'm sorry I didn't write down the exact colors that I used. Really, you could make this any color scheme that you would like. You could make the shirt. You could make the slacks blue jeans, but my dad never wore blue jeans. He always wore his work pants or dress pants or shorts. Shorts a lot of the time. And even to this day, he'll wear shorts even in the wintertime. And then I grab a darker blue for his collar just to give it a little bit of a contrast. Yeah, this is the card that I will give my dad for Father's Day. We won't be home for Father's Day. We'll be at the beach. My dad's not going to go. The last time he went on vacation with us was back in 2013. He also took my son and my nephew with my mom out west back in 2010. So he has done vacations, but he's having some issues with his health and he's going to stay back, and nothing life-threatening. He has some pain issues. Plus, he's going to be babysitting our dog. So our dog Carly will be staying with him, and he likes dogs. I remember when we were growing up, we had a beautiful white German Shepherd that was my dad's dog. He really trained him very well. And he actually bred the male dog with a female dog that we had later. First we had the male dog, then he got the female dog. They were both white German Shepherds. And they were the most adorable litter of puppies you'd ever seen. They were just like little white fluffy snowballs. And then I had a Saint Bernard that my dad got for me because I wanted a pony. Well, I didn't get a pony, but I did get a Saint Bernard, and that was just fine with me because I loved my dog, Bear. We thought it was a male dog, ended up being a female dog, but we still kept the name Bear. So that was fun, having a St. Bernard. Okay, now that I've done my coloring, I fussy cut the image, and I have this label that I used, a label die, to cut out a piece of vellum. This is a way to spotlight your image without it getting lost in the busyness of the background stamp. So I've got the vellum. Again, you can use any die shape that you want. This is sort of a fancy oval shape, and I'm going to color this in with my alcohol marker. I start with a pale yellow because I'm not sure how much of a yellow I need, but my goal is to take the image that I fussy cut and adhere it to this piece of vellum, and that way it gives a bit of a separation between the background with all the text and the image in the foreground, which is the artwork of the father and the daughter. Just a way to break things up a little bit. I didn't want to have a solid matte layer behind the image because I didn't want to take away from the words because they're funny and I want him to be able to read. So this first color, yellow, just doesn't quite cut it. It's just a little bit too light. So I go in with a brighter yellow. And I guess you could use any color. You wouldn't want to use a really dark color though, unless you didn't want it to be see-through. You know, if you color your vellum in with a dark color, that's going to make it less and less translucent. I wanted to keep it translucent, so I just used yellow. I almost used light blue, but I went with yellow. There it is. And it is going to be just fine with that color. It's bright enough for me. All right. One thing about having vellum, a lot of people struggle with it sometimes, not sure how to use it. You can put vellum behind your sentiments just to break up the layers if you ever have a busy background stamp. All right, now it's time to put the card together. We'll go ahead and use some liquid glue. I'm putting the liquid glue in a small section of the middle of my vellum cutout piece. I don't want it to show. So just be careful about that. You want to use your image to hide where you're placing that glue, and the image just goes right on top. You could also pop the image up with foam tape. I didn't think that was necessary for this, but it would look nice if that's what you decide to do. And then I have my card base. You can see I stamped on the back of this panel, but I wasn't satisfied, and so I've just flipped it over and stamped on the other side. That's what's great about paper. It has two sides. If you don't get it right on one side, you can flip it over and do it on the other. And this paper, I got it a long time ago at Staples. It's nice and it's thick. It's not thick like cover paper, but I think it was meant to be sort of a resume paper. Not really sure. All right, now we have our finished card. I'm going to show you a still photo of the finished card. I would encourage you, if you're new to my channel, to please subscribe and ring the bell so that you're notified of my upcoming videos. Please like this by giving this a thumbs up and leave a comment below about what you think about this card and whether you are making any Father's Day cards for the men in your lives this year. And don't forget that coupon code TJ10Tracy if you're shopping over at Technique Junkies. I'll have everything in my description box below. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.